So, uh, in the last class, we saw how to develop a web service. Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll just walk you through this project, web service project which we have created, and tell you a few things regarding the access to. Okay? Yes. So, we have developed a service, right? And actually, here you'll find that when we created this project and when we added the access to project facets, what the access to project facets does. It will make sure that it adds the access to environment to this project. Okay, it adds access to environment to this project. You see this access to web folder. It contains all the required files which are needed for um, for us to administer this web service which we have created. Okay, adding a service, accessing a service. Okay, so to help us in this regard, you'll find that access to has provided this JSPs. Okay, yes. So this is all a combination of your access to environment, which is provided by access to framework to help us run or execute web services. Yeah, and you know what? The Java class which we have created, you will find that the Java class is actually service implementation. We call it as a service implementation class. In web services terminology, it is actually called as a service implementation class. It is known as a service implementation class. Yeah. So you will find that here we have to configure the details about this under this services module. So just a second. The service which we have created, you will find that it is added to this services module here. Okay, in the services module you will find that dot class file, the service implementation class file. Okay, and then here you'll find a meta-inf directory. In the meta-inf directory, our service implementation class will be registered, services.xml file. This is a configuration file which is basically used to configure the service. Okay, yes, the service implementation class. Here using this parameter service class, we are providing the details about this service implementation class. So who created the service implementation class? Who created the service implementation class? So access to, no, who created this class? Access to created it. Actually we created it, not access to. That class, yesterday we have defined it. Yesterday or day before yesterday we have actually defined that class, not access to. Okay, yes. And access to is configuring the details about that class here. Okay, yes, the configuration details are added by the access to. And what is this message receivers? Here this service class which we have created, by default this service class is it capable of taking that SOAP request and process it? The service class, is it capable of taking that SOAP request and process it? No, it's plain Java class. Few people remember, you'll find that the service class is a very plain Java class which we have defined. Here the access to is providing that support. The RCP in only message receiver is responsible for taking that is responsible for taking that message from the server side, SOAP message, and accordingly convert it into appropriate Java format. Okay, it will take care of it. Got it? It will be responsible for that. Yes. And again, the service class will generate a response, right, which is again Java type. It will generate a response which is of type Java, right? So, this message receiver will make sure that it is converted to appropriate SOAP type again. Okay, yes, SOAP message. In this way, you'll have message receivers which are responsible for accordingly parsing that SOAP message and convert it into appropriate format here. Okay, yes. Now you see, you will find that this these are provided by who's providing this message receivers? Access to will be providing them. Okay, yes, and I'll show you a small diagram also which will make the things more clear for you people. Just a second. Yeah, here you got the web service here. The service class which contains the business logic is here on this side. On the other side, you got user application, let's say, which is nothing but a client application, web service client. Okay, just consider that it is a web service client. Yes. Here you'll find that the client, the user application means web service client. With the help of client APIs, the proxy on the client side, will send a request. Okay, and you'll have access to handlers. In the proxy itself, you'll have them. What they'll do, they will make sure that here that SOAP request is encrypted such a way that it can be sent through the transport. Okay, transport in the sense you have transport layers in between, right? So the network, I can say in simple terms. So the SOAP message is sent from the user, from the client side, okay, by the web service client. So web service client on its own, it won't send it, right? The proxy will be there. In the proxy, you'll have handlers which will appropriately generate this SOAP message, which is encrypted such a way that it can be actually sent through the network. On the other side, again, you'll have transport listeners. The transport listener, what it does, it will take that SOAP message and then it will accordingly forward that SOAP message to the handlers. The handlers will decode that message, okay, which is sent by the proxy or the client, okay, and then it will forward it to the SOAP. It will forward that message to the message receiver. So message receiver will take this request and then Message receiver will accordingly convert this message into appropriate format which your service implementation class can understand. Okay, to that format accordingly the message will be converted. So all this environment, especially the client APIs, handlers, okay, if both the client and service are access to, then in that case we'll find that here if both the client and service both are developed using access to framework itself, then you'll find that this handlers, okay, transport listener, transport sender, the message receivers, okay, all these components are provided by the access to itself. Okay, yes. Yeah, actually, that is what I said. As of now, what I want to highlight is access to framework provides both the client API as well as the API to develop web service. Okay, yes. So here, in the beginning itself, I said they are platform independent, language independent. Overall, the user application, when it places a request, so what is sent to the service? What is sent to the service? SOAP message. SOAP message, it's a protocol basically. It is not specific to any language or any platform. Okay, you see what they're exchanging here, both the client and service, they only exchange SOAP messages. So language independent and platform independent. Okay, so you'll find that, okay, .NET will have their own client APIs which can be used to access the service, and those client APIs will accordingly generate the SOAP message. Okay, yes, got it. There won't be any issues in this regard. Yeah, you got it. Yes. Now here all this stuff is in this web service project now. All the handlers, especially now in this case, we have this part now, the right side part, the transport listener, handlers, and message receivers and web service. We got this part. Now what about this part? On the left side, we got the application which will try to access the web service. So that part we have to generate now. Okay, we have to create that application now. So yeah, let's do that. As I said, in order to generate a client application, what is needed? How to obtain the web service details. We need web service details, right? We need web service details. Yeah. You know what? Here, the web service details are configured in, or they are actually in the web WSDL document, right? The web service details are in the WSDL document. We need that WSDL document to generate this client project. Not only we, any client, no matter you're developing the client using which application or which platform or which language, no matter whether it is .NET, Java, C++, Python, whatever it is, they need this WSDL document, because in the WSDL document itself, the complete details about the web service are defined. Okay. Now, first of all, let me run this application web service on the server. Okay. The services, the sample service page. Now this is the URL of this Western document here. Okay. So this is the URL of the Western document. Now we'll copy this URL of this Western document. Now let's try to create a client application. Okay. We'll try to create a client application. So how do we do that? Can we control information instead it should not be available through the browser? Actually, you know what information is there here? If you keenly observe, this is still what information is there here. This is essential or necessary information which is required to access a web service. And why do you want to control this information?
Like many times people say that don't use the visual that you see in a browser, use the actual visual that is shared by the publisher.
Okay, I don't think there will be much difference here. The one which you see in the browser or the visual document. Okay, so okay, fine. So if they are customizing it, obviously maybe you see as of now this is generated by the tool itself and we are using it. Maybe if a particular a company if they modify that particular in the particular application if the install is modified then it's their it's up to them how they provide that install and how to access it. It depends. Okay. Yeah. So yes, you can obtain the visual in many different ways. You can get the copy of that visual file. Okay, or some visual documents are provided through web itself. There is no other way or alternate way for you to access the visual. It depends again how they are providing the visual document. So it depends upon the service providers who are providing this visual document. What you will do if they provide it through the web itself, let's say through the web, how can you access it? So let's say through the browser itself. Yeah, it depends. So now uh, we'll use this URL, this visual. And now let's create a client application. I'm creating a dynamic web project. I'll call it as test uh, client test service client. Let's say. Now I'll click on finish. Now, on the client side, what we want to do now, on the client side, what we want to do in the client project, just a second please, give me 1 second. So in the client project, in the client project, what we have to create actually, yes, um, why do we need to add Java artifacts? What we want to do here on the client side. We want to create a proxy. On the client side, what we want to do, we want to create a proxy, right? So here, for creating the proxy, we need this visual. Okay, yes. So let's use this visual document to create the proxy. Okay, yeah. Now I'll select the project, select this client project. Okay, select the client project, and then right click on it. You'll find a new, right? Yes, all of you please keenly observe here. Select the project and right click on it, client project. Select the client project, right click on it, and then you see you'll find new others. Under the others, you'll find web services. In the web services, you have this option, web service client. Okay, web service client. Yeah. Now you select this web services client. Hope everyone had made a note of it. And then click on next. Now you see once you click on next, once you click on next, you will find that you'll get a window, a wizard, pop-up wizard, which will ask you or which will prompt you to provide the service definition. What is service definition? It is nothing but the URL of that visual document. You have to paste that URL here. You have to paste the URL of the visual document here. Okay, you have to paste the URL of the visual document here. You got it? Yes. Now you see what is being generated here. What is being generated here? What is generated? The Java proxy. Okay. which can be used by the client application. Yes, we are generating the proxy now. Yeah. Okay, fine. Now we'll click on next. Just wait for a while. Okay, so soap binding, port name, we select the soap port name. As I said, HTTP SOAP 1.2 endpoint. We have to do this. Now you can click on finish. So here, in the client project, you go through the source directory. You'll find that two Java classes are generated. This sample service bean stub, sample service bean stub. You'll find that here the sample service bean stub is a proxy class here. Okay, it is actually the proxy class. Yeah, got it. It is actual proxy class here. Yes. Okay. Hope you people got it. I'll open this. This is the stub or proxy, which is on the client side, which helps the client application to interact with the service. It helps the client applications to interact with the service, I can say. Yeah. Okay, fine. Now, how to use this proxy to access that service? You got the proxy. The next thing is you have to use this proxy to access that web service, right? So in the proxy, what we have, sorry, in the service, what we have, why we want to access the service here, why we want to access the service here. Yes, why we want to access the service here, because in the service you got a method or operation which you want to access. Get the functionality, use the functionality which is defined in the service, right? Yes. So that is what you want to do. Okay, fine. So here let's try to do this. In the last class, we saw that service, that operation details, how it is, what input it takes and what output it returns and all such things, right? Yeah. So here, now, let's see how to access that operation which is on the service. So for this, first of all, I'll create that sample service beans the proxy object here. Sample service bean stuff. This is the proxy object. So the proxy class will instantiate this class here. This constructor it throws, you'll have a checked exception here, you have to handle it. Okay, access port, we'll see that. So you got this proxy object now. So now, in order to place a request on the service, in order to place a request on the service, what we have to do, what we are supposed to do, you have to pass some input to that operation, right? So what is the operation name? I think it is generate message. And what it takes, what this generate message takes basically, what is the input for the generate message? Strings. But actually in the WSDL the format is changed, right? We have discussed about it. This is the type which that service takes. What is it? Generate message. It's a complex type element and there is a sub element in it called a string. Class generate message, which is a complex type element. And here you'll find that it has got a sub element in it. So that string type is converted to appropriate format which we can use here in the XML. So this is the input for the that operation, for that operation. And what is the output? Generate message response. Again there is a sub element in it called as return and it is of type string. Generate message response. This is the return value, return type of the operation. String return. That's it. Okay. Okay. So here the client in order to call that method generate message, it has to create this generate message class object and store that message in this username variable. But on the client side, do we have access to that class, generate message class? Where is this class? Is it available here in the client project? Is that class generate message available? Yes, actually it is available. You will find that it is part of this service being stub itself. It has been created as an inner class here. It has been created as an inner class. Now it is an inner class here. We can use it. I'll show you. Generate message. You see, generate message is basically an inner class which is a sample service being stub. So you can create this generate message class object here, which represents an input message for that operation. In this generate message, you got a variable called as username, right? Using this setter method, there is also a setter method defined here, which you can use. Let's say Harry. I'll assign the value. I'll call the setter method and store the value in that username variable this way. That's it. You got the input message, which you want to pass to the operation. Now, you know what we'll do? We'll call that operation on the proxy. In the proxy, you'll have that operation or that method. Operation is nothing but a method, right? So here we'll call the method on the proxy. So this method actually throws an exception, checked exception, which you have to handle. Yeah, remote exception. Now this way the client application will call the method on the proxy. Client application is Java client and it only knows how to call a method in Java, right? It only knows how to call a Java method. Only familiar with the Java method here. Yes. Fine. So now here, this method, when it is invoked generate message, we are calling the proxy method here, generate message. So what happens when we do this? So when we do this, the proxy method internally, this method will create a SOAP message, okay, and it will establish the connection with the service, the server. It will establish the connection with the server on which the service is hosted, and then it will send the SOAP message to the server. Okay. Yes, all those things will be taken care by this proxy method itself. All that complexity is hidden from us. Okay. Yes. Okay. Fine. Now, the service returns a value, right? It returns a value. What it returns basically the service. What the service returns in Java. Tell me the appropriate type format in Java. It returns generate message response type object. The response is the return value of this method will be generate message response. And this is also part of your subclass itself, the inner class. That's it. You get the response. And you see, in this object, you got that response message. Okay. Here, let's read that response message. Generate message response dot get return method is there. Now this is a getter method for that variable return. As I said, in the get generate message response, you got a variable called as return, right? You see, for that variable return, this is the method, get method, which you can use to read the value. Okay, yes. Fine. So let's run this code now. I'm executing the client application. Yes, you see, you got the response from the service here. Yep. While creating the proxy, the client application itself have configured the endpoint details. I've selected that endpoint, right? SOAP 1 to endpoint. HTTP SOAP 1 to endpoint. We have selected it while creating the proxy itself. Yep. So hope this is clear for you people. Any doubts, please let me know. Line number 13. Yeah, we are creating a proxy object here. In line number 13, what we are doing, we are creating this proxy object. So sample service bean is a stub, or you can call it as a proxy. We are creating that proxy object in line number 13. Sorry. 19. What you are doing here, using this proxy object reference, you are calling the method on the proxy, generate message. You know, in the proxy also, you'll have this method, but it's a dumb method. It's not the real method. Okay. Yes. So we are calling the method on the proxy. In the proxy, you got this method. This method will take this call and it will translate it into a SOAP message. It will translate it into a SOAP message, this method call. The proxy method generate message will take this method call. It will translate it into a SOAP message and then it will send it to the server. That is a responsibility of this generate method. This is not the actual method. This is not the real method which we have in that actual service implementation class. Okay, this is a dumb method which is added in the proxy, so that clients can use it to call this method. So you know, clients have been abstracted from all these details. Okay, yes. Okay, so any other doubts, please let me know. Okay, what is it? With the help of interceptor, is there any way we can access SOAP request in the at the runtime? Yes, we can intercept those SOAP requests. We have the tools to do that, and we'll do it. Okay, don't worry. Yeah, so we'll do it. We'll see how the SOAP message is generated, how the SOAP message looks like actually. There are tools to intercept the SOAP message. Yeah. Pragmatically, no, I don't do that. I'm not sure about it. But I know how to access it using a tool. Yes. You know, here intercepting the SOAP request means intercepting that actually SOAP request again is actually wrapped in the HTTP message. It is actually wrapped in HTTP message. So you need a kind of TCP listener or the monitors which can actually read this messages actually. Okay. Fine. Now we saw how to create a service and how to consume the service also. Yes. Now what I'll do is I'll show you a WSDL document straight away to make you people better understand this WSDL document. I'll show you WSDL document, okay, and you have to identify the methods or the operations in the WSDL document, what it takes and what it takes. Yeah. Straight away, we'll see the WSDL document itself, so that you'll understand how to analyze this WSDL document. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the web service WSDL document, one of the web services WSDL document. You know, this example is actually provided by Access to People itself. Okay, Access to People itself have provided this example. So it's a predefined example which you'll find in Access to Framework here, so which you can use. Along with the Access to Libraries, you'll get this example. What is this example? Address book service. Yeah. So you'll find that this is the visual document of the address book service. Now here, I want to understand this web service. I want to know what operations or what methods are defined in the web service through this visual document here. Okay, yes. So what am I supposed to do now? From where to start? Yes. From where to start? Yeah. So it is always better to start from port element here. Port type. Okay. Port type element. Now now can you people tell me in this web service how many methods are there? Can you people tell me in this web service how many methods are there? Methods in web services terminology, what they are actually known as operations. Right? Operations. Two operations are there. That's right. And here, you see the first operation is add entry. That's right. And the add entry operation, can you people tell me what input will it, whether it takes any input or not? It takes an input. What about the output? Does it return any value? No. There is no, sorry, there is no return value here. Yes. There is no return value. Yeah. Now, let's see this add entry type. Now, how do I know what type is this? I want the type details. How do I obtain those details now? So, first of all, you have to refer to the messages, right? So, add enter this message name. The add entry request the message name, and it is referring to which element here? The details, the type definition details here of this element. They are in the schema, XML schema. And which element is basically referring to it? Which element is referring to this one? You'll find that here add entry element is referring to that. Now, can you get here? You see where is this add entry? Here it is. The element add entry is here. Element add entry is here. Actually, you'll find that this element add entry is a complex type, and I want you to give me the appropriate Java representation or the appropriate class definition for this element add entry. Appropriate class representation. Entry, again, type equal to entry. What does this means here? You see in the element you'll find that you got type equal to entry. What does this means? It's again a complex type element. Where are the details about this entry? Yes, you'll find that down. Here are the details about that entry element. You see, again, entry is a complex type element which has got sub-elements. What are the sub-elements here? City, name, postal code, state, street. These are all the details. Okay, so these are all the details which you'll see. Yes. Okay. So this is how it works. Now in Java, you know how to represent this entry element now. It's a class, right? Yeah. Okay, so due to time limit, I won't be able to continue this class today. We'll meet tomorrow again and we'll continue our discussion, okay? Yeah. So in the next class, I'll talk about the rest of the details. We'll explore this web service here. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Meet you tomorrow.